Hello and welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers. I'm Aaron Chapin, president of the Pennsylvania State Education Association, and I'm your host this week. Today, we're going to be speaking with the 2025 National Teacher of the Year, Ashlie Crosson, and then we're going to welcome an expert on emerging AI technology and how it's going to be affecting our students, our schools, and our communities. All that and more coming right up.
Welcome to the fast-paced and unrehearsed weekly discussion featuring the leaders who help shape your world. Join us as we address the issues that impact you each and every day. This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And now, here's your host.
So our first guest made history this year. She is the first Pennsylvania State Teacher of the Year who was named the National Teacher of the Year. Ashlie Crosson is an English teacher as well as journalism teacher in the Mifflin County High School. And we are thrilled to have her here today joining us. So Ashlie Crosson, welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers.
Thanks so much for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
So let's just get right to this. What went through your head when you were named National Teacher of the Year?
A lot of silence. I get this question a lot. No, I was in a lot of disbelief. And so there's a video of me on a phone call and I just am saying nothing for a while. And then after that, I think my next question was, are you sure? So
it was that big of a surprise to you?
It was.
Well, it's well-deserved, well-earned. We've known you for a while, and we couldn't be prouder of you. So as Teacher of the Year, you represent all teachers across the United States. As you travel around, what is like the key message that you're trying to get to our colleagues out there?
So I think it's really important when I'm talking to educators that they feel valued and that they feel comfortable as experts, not just in education, but in their communities. Mm-hmm. The way that we teach in our schools is so specific to the communities that we have and to the students that are in our classrooms. And educators know that better than me. So a lot of times when I'm visiting schools in different places, I'm learning as much as I'm, sort of talking, because they're the experts.
Absolutely right. Tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming an educator. Like, how did you get to where you are right now? Like, what really drove you to choose this career in education?
So I guess in a full circle moment, I started as a journalism major. So it's fitting to be on this segment. But really, I had tremendous teachers, like literally all throughout school. When I went back and started looking at it, it literally starts at in kindergarten and first grade. I had a teacher who retired and continued to send me letters in the summer. And I have instances like that all through school where teachers just went above and beyond their call as an educator to really help their students feel valued and feel significant. And when I got to college, I sort of realized, I do love journalism, I love writing, I really loved my English classes, but I wanted to take that, and if I had the opportunity to give back to another generation of students what was given to me, that felt like a meaningful career. So
education wasn't the first thought you had going into college?
It was not.
And how long did it take you really for that to click?
3 weeks.
Okay.
I got to college and I think I was already starting to have those thoughts and conversations sort of in my own head over the summer after I graduated. As soon as you leave school, you're oh wait, I'm not going back to this. Mm-hmm. And then I sort of warmed up to the idea.
I think as you go around, you find that's kind of the norm. There's a lot of us that are deciding, you know what, I really want to go in a career of education instead.
I think so. Now, I think there's several different kind of sections. There's the people who have always wanted to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. There's the people who sort of came to it in their college years and switched their majors. But now there's a significant population who are coming in as second or third career teachers.
That's right.
Which I think is awesome.
Was there a particular teacher that really inspired you when you were in school?
If I have to pick one, it's Ms. Williams. She was my high school journalism teacher.
And why her? Why? What did she do that really inspired you?
Well, my first impression with her was bad.
Okay.
And so I wasn't doing my work. I was in the library. I was supposed to be writing an article, and I was just talking to friends. Oh. And so, I think trying to redo that first impression made me try harder in class. But ultimately, it was that she had a conversation with me. about halfway through my junior year and said, like, I really need you to be here. I need you to be in school. I value your input. I value what you bring to our class. And
awesome.
That made, like, it wasn't about what I was learning. It was about me as a person.
We got about 30 seconds before we head into a break. What do you think makes a great teacher?
Passion, enthusiasm, dedication, an open mind, a willingness to try, fail, try again, flexibility.
And it takes practice, obviously.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
It takes time. It takes a lot. But when did you, obviously, you're teacher of the year. You're a great teacher. When did you finally feel comfortable as we get ready to go to a break?
I had a fellowship 5 years into teaching that really gave me a foundation.
Okay. Well, we have to go to a break now. When we come back, we're going to talk more with National Teacher of the Year, Ashlie Crosson.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Welcome back to Pennsylvania Newsmakers. I'm Aaron Chapin, and I'm here with National Teacher of the Year, Ashlie Crosson. So, Ashlie, as educators, we all know that every day is an adventure in the classroom. I want to hear, is there an experience with a student that really stands out to you, reminding you why you're a teacher?
I mean, I could maybe name like a million of them, but we don't have time for that. And I think, like, I teach 170 kids approximately a year. So for me, it's not one student. It's like, how many of those little moments can I have every day? And that's really, like, that's why you keep coming back. It's like the small daily joys and like the immediate triumphs that keep you coming. And
it just keeps you going back each and every morning. As National Teacher of the Year, you get to meet with aspiring educators, which for those of our viewers out there, it's an absolute joy to go and hang out with them. What's something that we should be doing more of to attract more young people into this great profession?
So I think as in Pennsylvania, we've really started to shift to that. We've brought an emphasis on hiring really highly qualified, passionate teachers. We see that in our legislature. We see that in our recruitment. And I think keeping that sort of momentum and messaging going, and really having some intentional conversations with students to have you considered education? Because so often I think our students kind of look at it as oh, I could, but what else should I do? Because they've done school their whole life. They want to do something else. I totally get that. But I have so many students that I look and I'm like, your conversation skills, your critical thinking, your creativity, you would make a great teacher.
Do you tell your students that all the time?
I do. And actually, in this role, I found myself trying to be a lot more intentional about it.
You become a mentor.
Oh.
Well, last week you spent some time with aspiring educators at a conference, and were they just thirsty for the knowledge and advice you could pass along?
There's no room that has more sort of inspiration in it than a room full of future educators. Yeah. That's one of my favorite spaces to be.
It is for me as well. So, when this airs this weekend, students are going to be going back to school soon. I know we're a couple of weeks away. What's advice you can give to parents and guardians about this upcoming school year? What's advice you could give them when working with teachers and school staff?
I think the advice that always helps me in the classroom to be the best teacher I can for their children is just communication. Yep. I teach high school, and so often those levels of communication are getting sort of smaller intentionally. Mm-hmm. But I find that when I reach out to families, especially with some positive interaction right at the beginning of the school year, that helps to set the tone and helps us all realize we're here to have a good year. We're here to find a way to work together to do what's best for students. And I think that consistency is really, really valuable.
It's so simple, too.
Yes.
But it is. It's one of the most challenging things of being an educator.
Yep.
Having that line of communication. What's one of the biggest challenges that you think teachers are facing right now?
I think that, our consistent sort of like worries about teacher burnout and helping our teachers who are coming into the profession, either as young like college graduates or as those second and third career teachers, making sure that they have the support and professional development to grow into their profession is like, that to me is the next critical step. We are recruiting. Yep. Are we retaining?
So we got like 30 seconds. What's the biggest hope that you have? Like, what fills you with hope right now when it comes to education?
It's always the kids. Like, I love my colleagues, don't get me wrong, but being in a room full of students and seeing somebody do something that they couldn't do the day before, or find a way to voice an opinion they were afraid to voice before, like especially as an English teacher, that gives me joy and hope, because I look at it and I say, like, this is the future of our country, and I have a chance to help cultivate that.
Well, we couldn't end it any better on that note. Ashlie, congratulations on being National Teacher of the Year. You represent this profession so perfectly. So thank you for being here with us. After the break, we're going to be talking with Dr. Christopher Clayton about the opportunities and risks of AI technology in our schools.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Cross-State Credit Union Association. Credit unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, go to ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, representing the faculty and coaches who are devoted to providing quality public higher education for Pennsylvania's college students.
Welcome back to Pennsylvania Newsmakers. I'm Aaron Chapin. My next guest is Dr. Christopher Clayton. He's the Assistant Director of Education Services at the Pennsylvania State Education Association. Chris advises PSEA's Artificial Intelligence Task Force, and he's here to talk with us about how AI is impacting our schools, education in general, as well as our students. So, Chris, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Aaron.
It's great to have you here. I can't wait to pick your brain. So let's just start with a basic question for our viewers. What exactly is generative AI?
Sure. I think there's a date that'll go down in infamy, November 30th, 2022. That is the day that ChatGPT became sort of public, and it became this brand new interface where you could actively go to a product and create stuff or generate stuff, right? And so that day will be kind of a big day for our kids, where they're 10 years from now will be like, you had a day where you couldn't do that. But generative AI essentially is that, there's a large data set that can generate, whether it's essays, poems, songs, but now you're getting into generate things like code or videos or music, and people are actively using AI tools to create stuff. So that was a big paradigm shift, and it's been a paradigm shift for our world, for sure.
So you mentioned ChatGPT, and obviously that's probably the most well-known of the different platforms, and there's a long list. But if someone's really going to be, looking to use this new AI, platform, what should they be thinking about when they're picking which one they should use, in your opinion?
I'll give you some examples, right? There are a lot of what are called large language models, or LLMs, they're commonly referred to, that have really emerged. And they all have some similarities and differences. But like for me, specifically at this point, I really prefer a platform known as Perplexity to do research. I like that it essentially lays out the primary sources that it's analyzing and drawing information from. And then I like ChatGPT for writing stuff. If I'm in the Google universe, I'll often use Google Gemini, because it's easier to navigate around with YouTube videos or Google Docs. So a lot of the LLMs have similarities but differences, and I think you've got to kind of play with them to see which one you like, for what purposes and why, and how you might use them differently for what you're trying to accomplish with that task.
And that takes us to schools, because obviously in our schools that over the last few years, it's exploding. It's being used more and more.
Absolutely.
And how is it really impacting our schools today and what the students and the educators are doing?
Yeah, I think initially it was sort of thought of as kids are going to use this to cheat. And as a former high school English and IB theory of knowledge teacher, that was my first interface. I put in my Lord of the Flies essay prompt in December of 2022 and saw what it would spit out. And that was sort of the first blanch of, oh my God, that's how this is going to be used. But I was reading a survey yesterday, about 80% of kids in the survey identified they're using AI.
Wow.
And so it's absolutely kids are accessing and using it. So I think the paradigm shift is, how do we make sure that it's humans using AI as a tool, right? And the metaphor I've heard that I really like a lot is we've got to help our kids start to think about it less as a Roomba vacuum, which is do it for me, and more as an electric bike where I've got a pedal and I've got a steer, but it's going to kind of help supercharge what I'm doing, whether that's creating something, researching something, et cetera. So you've got kids using it, but you've also got a lot of educators that are seeing that it can really be effective to help them do their jobs and the stuff they've got to do.
Well, and that's something I would like to talk about in the minute that we've got before we go to a break. So obviously, educators can't run from this. The genie's out of the bottle at this point. So you meet with a lot of educators. You do a lot of trainings with educators. What advice are you passing along to them so that we're really embracing this and using it for all the great capabilities that it has?
Sure. We'll use one platform just as an example. Magic School is becoming really well known and sort of ubiquitous out there in terms of being used by both teachers and students. So I'll give you an example. I think there's still a primary sort of paradigm of that our job as educators is to essentially try and create the optimal conditions for our students to learn. And AI is an incredible tool to do some learning, but that means I've got to really decide as an educator, when is it an effective tool for what we're trying to accomplish for my students and when is it not? And so that might mean essentially on a Monday, the ideal conditions for learning on that day would be a book, piece of paper, highlighter, a pencil, completely analog, right? But on a Wednesday, I might use something like Magic School, which has got an interface called Magic Student, where I can say, here's a digital room, and here's two AI tools, an AI research assistant and an AI writing assistant. And I want you, I'm going to open up a digital room, and I want you to have access to that room for the next 20 minutes to do a specific task. So how am I controlling the optimal conditions for learning, and how am I thinking about AI is a tool to be used?
All right. Well, thanks. We're going to talk a little bit more. We have to go to a break. When we come back, more from Dr. Christopher Clayton.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Pennsylvania American Water. We keep life flowing across the Keystone State.
Welcome back again to Pennsylvania Newsmakers. I'm here with Dr. Christopher Clayton, and we're talking AI in the classroom, and we're going to talk a little bit about beyond the classroom. So what role do you think schools, Chris, really should have when it comes to teaching, AI to our students? What responsibility do our schools have?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, this has become obviously a major issue, really affecting the world and society, but what does that look like in school buildings? And we at PSEA formed a task force, which was 20 teachers, 3 Pennsylvania State Teachers of the Year, teachers from every region of the state to really look at this issue. And first and foremost, we've got to make sure that teaching and learning stays a human-centered experience, and that AI is a tool that's used in the teaching and learning process. And that was paramount for our group, number one. And so schools have got to think about what does policy and practice look like and how it transitions into that. And right now, we do not have statewide guidance around AI in school buildings. So that means 500 school districts and LEAs are going to have to think about policy. And if we don't have policy, then we're all kind of sneaking around subversively, sneakily in the dark about how we use it. And we've got to bring it more out into the open, and how and why you're going to use it, how to properly cite it, and how to effectively integrate it in the teaching and learning process.
And I know we work with teachers. I'm a teacher. You're a teacher. I think we both agree AI just can't replace teachers, though. I mean, that's just a ludicrous train of thought.
For sure, and we've seen some of those charter school models out there that essentially are trying to do that in sort of a widget business model.
Quicker and faster, and more efficiently.
And profiteer from it. So we've got to ensure absolutely that it stays a human-centered process with a human teacher.
Absolutely.
Really thinking about how do we use it as a tool. And again, there will be times where how to not use it at all.
So you mentioned the AI task force that PSEA put together. What were some of the other key findings that they had that you're hoping and the task force is hoping will be put into motion? Yeah,
they put some guidance recommendations on some suggestions, right, on how it should be teacher-facing, student-facing, and then a professional learning tool, and it's a powerful professional learning tool. There's some guidance on local bargaining considerations, as there's a lot to consider that way. There's some advocacy around legislative issues that need to happen around AI as well, some guidance there, and then some really great curated resources. AI has some tremendous uses for, say, our students with exceptional learning needs, our ESL students, students with dysgraphia, dyslexia, et cetera. It can be a wonderful tool to help them.
Yeah, we have a lot of students that are going to benefit from AI technology.
Yeah, so some real guidance there.
So, beyond education, because obviously we're not just, focused on our schools, even though that's our key priority. What industries do you really see, do your colleagues see that, research this a lot? Where do you think AI is really going to come in and revolutionize what's going on?
Probably a better question is which industries is it not going to impact or change. If you look at the World Economic Forum report, jobs report just came out a couple months ago. 55% of all businesses and industries basically said AI has completely disrupted or augmented their industry. At this point, they're projecting by 2030, all jobs will either be done by AI and tech or by humans in combination with AI and tech, essentially about 2/3 of all jobs. So you're seeing just a massive shift in almost every industry. But healthcare specifically, you're seeing huge changes in how AI is being used in the medical field, for example. Obviously, anything that involves big data, you're going to see engineering, all those types of things, and then the entire software and compute, all of those IT spaces are going to. So really, it's impacting almost every corner of our world.
As you travel around and you talk with different groups about AI technology, what are a lot of the misconceptions? What are a couple, at least, that you feel are out there about AI technology?
Yeah, I think everybody sort of has their doomsday scenario.
Terminator.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm Gen Xer, right? So it is Terminator and, Skynet taking over. And I think there's a lot of those sort of heading down the slippery slope of those things. But I think there's just a lot of misconceptions around what it is, where it's headed, and how it can be really a wonderful tool. But we've got to make sure we keep humans and students and teachers at the forefront of how it's being used in our classrooms, because that's how it's going to transition into industry.
And we're running out of time. Do you see the tide turning with our colleagues about using AI technology? Do you feel like they're embracing it a little bit more? We got about 20 seconds.
So there's we're going through Rogers' diffusion curve. I think right now we did this with the internet. We did this with cell phones, right? We're kind of working through, you have your early adopters, and then you kind of have your laggards and holdouts, and I think we're kind of working through that.
All right. Well, thank you for being here with us, Chris, and thank you for joining us for Pennsylvania Newsmakers. We hope to see you back here next week. Thanks for joining us.